So it is legal, right? It is not against the law. It is in conformity with the law. So you have made halal what Allah made haram.
It's called a kafir.
You made halal what Allah made haram. And that is shirk. This is being recorded. And therefore you're committing shirk. Not just Malaysia, around the world of Islam. So this is part of the problem of enforcing the Sharia in the modern age. You'll have to deal with banking. You'll have to deal with banking. You'll have to deal with membership in the United Nations organization. But that's not all. There's something called the International Monetary Fund. And all countries in the world have to be members of the International Monetary Fund. And if you are like Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, and you recognize it to be evil and exploitative, and you want to withdraw, the conditions of withdrawal are so terrible that Venezuela cannot withdraw. Yeah. It will be financially disastrous for Venezuela to withdraw. That's what you are. The whole world of Islam today is in the International Monetary Fund. Good. What are the implications of membership in the International Monetary Fund? And what are the implications of enforcement of the Sharia in a member state of the IMF? Number one, even Dr. Mahathir was not aware. No, he wasn't aware. Question: has Allah made dinar and dirham halal? Yes or no? You better say yes, because dinar is in the Quran. Whether you are aware of it or you are not. I don't know if Ikhwan al-Muslimun is aware of it. I have to raise my voice because it's not just anger, it's pain in my heart that Ikhwan has taken Egypt to civil war today because of recklessness on their part. Recklessness. Egypt is now in civil war. People are fighting each other in the masjid. In the masjid. In Salatul Jum'ah. Because of the recklessness of Ikhwan al-Muslimun. Dinar is in the Quran. Dirham is in the Quran. And a dinar in the Quran is not made of paper. It's made of gold. And a dirham is made of silver. Allah made it halal. It is also sunnah. All prophets of Allah use dinar and dirham. And tomorrow, Israel will be using dinar and dirham as money. And shame, shame, shame on the ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Shame, shame, shame on the scholars of Islam when Israel starts using dinar and dirham tomorrow. Shame on the muftis, shame on you. May Allah take me away from the world. I don't want to live to see that day, because the shame and the disgrace will be too great for me. But may Allah keep them alive to see that day. Those who today would not lift even a little finger to bring back dinar and dirham as money. Keep them alive and take us away from the world so we don't have to face that shame and disgrace. Allah made it halal. Dinar and dirham as money. What did the IMF do? Even Dr. Mahathir was not aware. The Articles of Agreement of the International Monetary Fund has prohibited the use of gold as money. Haram. So they have made haram what Allah made halal. Is that shirk? You better answer that question before you reach your grave, huh? Yeah. And if you follow it and accept it, and you say that the money which comes out of the IMF, which is the ringgit, the paper ringgit that you have, came out of the IMF, that this is halal money, you also part of the shirk. This is not the time. I have a lecture outside entitled Islam and the International Monetary System. You can get it outside, the video, or you can go on the internet and you can listen to it. I have a book entitled The Gold Dinar and Silver Dirham, Islam and the Future of Money. You can read that book. We have it in Bahasa as well, outside. And I have a lecture which I just delivered at the conference on Riba a week and a half ago on Islam, the petrodollar and beyond, which explains the subject in greater detail. That lecture is also on my website, so we don't have the time to explain. If you want to enforce the Shariah, you'll have to withdraw from the IMF. Huh? You'll have to withdraw from the IMF. Why? Because the IMF articles of agreement prohibit the use of gold as money. And therefore they have made haram what Allah made halal. But that's not all. There's more to it than that. In the Quran, Allah has prohibited ripping off people. 3 times in the Quran He has said, وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ. Don't rip off people. How do you rip them off? By diminishing the value of what they have. Their property, their wage, their belongings. As the value of your money falls, everything else is falling. I am a writer. I earn my livelihood, alhamdulillah, from my books, so nobody can fire me. So I have the freedom to speak. I published Jerusalem in the Quran, which is my bestseller, in 2002, so 10 years ago, right here in Malaysia. And at that time we fixed the price at 35 ringgits. And I could have sold 4 copies and bought a dinar 10 years ago. Did you hear that? Good. After 10 years, we raised the price from 35 to 40. But now I have to sell about 25 copies to buy 1 dinar. Do you understand what has happened to your ringgit? I sold 4 copies, I could buy 1 ringgit. 1 dinar. 4 copies, I could buy 1 dinar. 10 years later, increase the price to 40, I have to sell about 20-25 copies to buy 1 dinar. That's where your ringgit is, falling in value. And your case is not as bad as Indonesia. It's not as bad as Pakistan. It's not as bad as Bangladesh. It's not as bad as Egypt. As the value of the paper money falls, the people become poorer and poorer. Money that Allah created doesn't fall in value, because the value of the money is in the money. It has intrinsic value. That's why the IMF prohibited the use of gold as money. Why? Because they want you to be imprisoned with this paper money. They used to have paper and printing press and ink to create money. That's all you needed. to create money. You need paper, you need a printing press, and you need ink. And you could make money out of thin air. Who is Imran Hosein to say that? Oh, Imran Hosein has studied international monetary economics, so he knows what he's talking about. Oh yes, he knows the subject. They don't teach the subject in the Darul Ulum, international monetary economics. No. And that's why our muftis give fatwa without a knowledge of the subject. In 1971, the United States reneged on its obligations under international law to redeem US dollars for gold. And from that day to this day, it's only paper.